All right, and we are live.
Awesome. What's up, guys? Shawn Bowen, Full Circle Investment Group, wholesalingoutofthebox.com. Coming at you again today with a lunchtime live. And today we're talking about funding projects, right? How to finance a project, how to work with us as a funding partner, and what do those numbers look like and how. So what we're going to do is just kind of walk around the project. If you guys are following Jacob, then you'll see this is one of his projects. And this is actually one of his personal home. But this will kind of give an idea of what the funding looks like and how we worked with him on it. So we came in to do the rehab portion of this, and just kind of walk you around. I don't know if anybody's seen or followed Jacob on it, but what you're going to see as we walk around here, this is a project where he found it through some marketing that we did, and then ended up they wanted to make this their personal home. And then they got a front end purchase price, and then us to come in on the rehab loan. So then what I'm gonna do is just kind of walk you around and show you this thing. And this is just showing you the level of rehab that goes into these types of things. It's pretty extensive in his first one, so it's a lot, and that's good. But knowing your numbers, knowing how to find the deal, knowing how to run your numbers so that you can go to a lender and give them true numbers and why the deal is going to work and how it's going to work, and just walk you through that project. So let me get this thing turned around so we can show you what we're talking about. And go back camera. All right. I think we should be good. So guys, this is this area you're looking at the moment is just the kitchen. So you can obviously tell things that were ripped out and pulled out, and working going through it and working around it. You got the dining room here, and then there's a living section here. Looks like they pulled a wall out over here. And guys, remember, if you want to come on, actually I'll put in some links that you can go and ask questions and go live to try to ask us some questions about this lending process and how it works. And Jacob will go with another one later so he can give you details into what the specifics are on this, because he knows way more detail into the project. So going through, seeing the bathrooms, you got this hallway, and then looks like they're gonna pull this bathroom up and then go out back of the other bathroom to make it the master. And then we're going down the hallway, your basic bedroom here on the right hand side, and then this over here on bedroom, I would think number 2, master bedroom here. And you've got your closet. And then, of course, that looks into that bathroom, which is over here. All right. So getting a really good idea, guys, of like kind of the extent of the project and what you're getting into and what that looks like and why. So really, really extensive project. But let's talk to a little bit more on funding and how to approach the deal. Okay, I'm going to switch this back around. I'm going to kind of speak here. Well, what I want to talk to is how do you approach a lender? And for us, it's knowing what your numbers are, right? So what's the loan to value of the project from 65% to 70%? What's your exit strategy? How are you going to exit the property, as in buy and hold, fix and flip, and then having the comps to show all those numbers? What's the amount of money that is needed to the entire project versus, what money do you need to have available to put into escrow? And then approaching that lender on, like for myself, what I want to see is I'm a joint venture in the deal, right? I'm joint venturing with you on this project. So I need to see all the numbers ahead of time. I want to know what we're talking about and what it looks like, right? What is the amount of rehab you're going to do? What specific material are you going to use? I want a scope of work. I want an independent contractor agreement for what you're going to do and what that looks like, of how you're holding the contractor responsible. And then all of that to come back into a loan to value sheet, which says, here's why this makes sense as a deal, and here's why this is going to work. As worst case scenario, and then of course best case scenario, you make more money, right? So how do you structure that? You need to have a package put together. We call it a lender package. Okay. Remember, guys, if you have comments or questions, put them in here. Ashley's got the link for you. I'd love to chat with you while we're doing this. A lender package is showing me comps, showing me pictures of the property, showing me a loan to value sheet, a scope of work, very structured and organized as far as how that looks as a project and the timeline for it to finish. So when you're approaching a lender, you want to have all of these pieces of paper, or in this case, Google Drive file, where it has all this information, virtual world, remember, it's what we live in. You want to have all this information in one spot so that you can be very organized, right? You and the lender, or you and the joint venture person at all points in the project can address issues, right? So I need a draw. What does that look like? Ahead of time, it would say, let's just say it's a $40,000 draw and you're doing segments of 4, and it was $10,000 per draw. That needs to be broken down into the scope of work. If this amount of work is done, then this draw is paid, right? So knowing how all of that structures to be organized and be ready to, come to any hurdles that you hit and talk about them. But again, all in one spot. So all in your virtual folder, whether that's Dropbox, Google Drive, anything that you have access to virtually for everybody to look at. So those are I feel as a requirement as the lender on this specific deal, any deal is what does the numbers look like in order for me to be able to go into the deal and say, yeah, it's real, right? And then worst case scenario, what happens when you look at it as it's going to go bad and it's going to go south? How do you fix that? What is it? Hey, here's the remedy of, if I don't sell it for this amount, bare minimum, I'm not going to make any money on it, but everybody involved in the lending position is going to get their money back in their interest, because who wants to work with anybody that doesn't do bare minimum that, all right? So you want to make sure you're addressing all of those issues ahead of time. So again, guys, this is a project we were fortunate enough to be able to work with on Jacob, and it's one of those things that we're looking for more people to do this with, right? We're looking to joint venture with other people that are looking to do fix and flips, buy and holds, creative financing to maybe take over a property and hold on to it for a little bit and then refi out of it. Those are the kind of projects that we look at. We will have something set up for you that you can go to a link, you can submit that information to, and then you'll know whether or not we can work together or not. And that's something that we're going to be building for you guys. But I'm really looking forward to allowing Jacob to come in here and explain to you guys, the ins and outs of this project and how it worked for him and what's working best. So came on a little bit later on today, but trying to get in here and give you guys a little bit of information on this specific one, and then we're going to allow Jacob to come back here and talk about it in detail for himself, and talk about what worked, how he found it, and how he structured the deal. So, guys, actually, I don't know if we have anybody over there that's watching. I'm on mobile, so I can't really see anything over there to talk to you guys. But if we've got anybody over there that has any questions, I'm interested in helping you and talk about them. But specifically, if you're watching the replay here, it's talking about how to work with us as a joint venture partner on those deals and try to find them for you. So do we have anybody over there, Ashley, that has any questions or is watching, or anything we can do with that? Because otherwise, it's a quick one today to go back, and we're going to get Jacob here to go through his info.
Yeah, we have a few people watching, but okay. No one is writing any comments or anything like that. So guys, if you have questions about where to find funding, even if it's not with us, write them here. Shawn was a contractor for a while. He's got really great resources for people that are looking to try to get into the rehab space.
Definitely. Guys, finding funding is not as hard as everybody thinks it is, but having a true deal and knowing your numbers is probably the most important part of any deal, right? Everybody wants to come to the table with no money. Everybody wants to, get in for these deals and says it's a deal, but like knowing your numbers and truly backing into that is what makes sense, right? We speak to wholesaling sometimes, all the time, and what that looks like and how you come into those deals. So we're speaking to how does funding work when you want to present a deal to a lender. So that's a big thing. Let me plug this thing in.
I have a question for you, Shawn.
What's that?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So when they're doing as wholesalers the rehab estimate that they're putting together to figure out if they want to wholesale a property or keep it, how does that change when they're going into it from a wholesaling perspective versus a potential rehab project perspective?
That's actually really good. So your wholesale fee is what's going to pay you on the deal versus you're looking at the total profit margin on the back end of it, right? So if you're looking at a project and you say, hey, I want to make $10,000 today and then pass on the profits to the end rehabber or the end buyer, then maybe your profit for the wholesale up front is either not there or maybe it's a smaller fee. As long as it works into the loan to value, that's the most important part. And what I suggest is that anybody working with a lender needs to be able to show those profits north of $25,000. So if you're saying, hey guys, we're going to buy this project for $200,000, I mean, it's a $250,000 retail, we got 50 grand into it, that loan to value at 70% is X, then backing into that number, that's the number that you need to be able to have in that LTV sheet to show the profit margin of $25,000 with a fudge factor on the repair side. So when doing those numbers, you need to back it in to make sure that it shows a profit, right? And at best case, $25,000. Worst case, I wouldn't say worst case. Best case would be way more than 25. Worst case would be $25,000. This is for things that you can't control, right? You can't control appraisals. You can't control going over in budget. So the overage factor, we always say 10%, right? If you look at most people that doing these projects, if they go in and they say it's a $50,000 rehab, guaranteed they're going to go over budget and time. So, give yourself a 10% overage factor. So if it's $50,000, give yourself $5,000 in overages for the oops. What did you not see? What did you open up a wall? Did you run into something that you couldn't see before with the contractor? These are just in cases. So if you're paying interest on that extra oops, what is that number, right? And is it worth having available to you versus not, and having to dig into your own pocket and possibly extend the time of the project, extend, all of that, the cost, the time, the payback, all of that in order to say like, man, my profit margin is really, really dwindling here. So I would recommend any wholesalers that are trying to get that deal and then say, hey, I'd rather turn it into a rehab. Look at what your wholesale fee is. Does it work inside of that loan to value number so that ultimately you can make it a deal, right? That knowing those numbers is very, very important, and showing those numbers to a lender and the security behind it. One of the things that I want to see, and this is for myself and or when I go to other guys and work with other guys, I show worst case scenario. If something were to happen, how do we get out of it? Everybody get their money back and their interest that I guaranteed was going to happen, and I don't make a dime. And if you can't do that, and if you're not okay with, signing that line that says that, don't do the project, because you're getting into something that you're not willing to do the ultimate, which is do what you say you're going to do and finish it. All right. So I know it's a little long-winded, but hopefully that helped answer the question.
Kind of. My question was more focused specifically on rehab estimates or repair estimates in general. So as wholesalers, we go bathroom 5,000. But if you're looking at it as a rehab, you kind of have to do like more of a fine-tooth comb sort of thing.
Yes.
But we actually have a question, so we can come back to that.
Okay. Go for it. You still there? Lose you?
Sorry, something happened with my computer.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, here's the question. Can you read it on your phone, or do you need me to read it to you?
Yeah. Is there a percentage of skin in the game that a lendee should plan for approaching a lender? For example, if the buy is 100, rehab is 40, how much are you as a lender looking for the lendee to have liquid capital for you to be comfortable in funding the deal? It depends on, and I hate to say this because it's such a Joe blog thing, but it depends on the loan to value. Right? The lower loan to value, which is I'm lending on the project, I'm not lending on you, probably a little bit lower skin in the game. Higher loan to value, meaning I'm not going above 70%, very rarely 75% based on experience level is another portion of that. So I'd say be ready to have anywhere between 5 to 10% of the total loan to have in escrow or to be able to put in escrow. That would hopefully answer that question. I can't see who the person is. It just says Facebook user.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was Cam who jumped in to ask that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Awesome question, Cam.
Yeah, good stuff.
Going back to what we were talking about before he put that in, the rehab estimate, as you change from wholesaler to rehabber, what does that look like?
Needs to be more defined. When your wholesaling numbers come into play, it's more of a big picture number than it is a dialed in number, right? So we say bathrooms are 5, kitchens are 10, floors are 4 over the square foot, paint 3 over the square foot, roof is 4 and 6, plumbing. Like, we do that to get close enough to the number. When you're getting into rehabbing, you have to be more dialed in with your numbers. So that is where you need to understand the very minute detail, which is trim, door frames, specific outlets, a lighting package, a plumbing package versus, are you replacing all the plumbing in the house versus just the number that we talk about on electrical is just updating the panel. So that's where you've got to get more detailed. And that's where, if you don't have that experience yet, that's getting with a rehabber and or like ourselves, that we can say, okay, you need to get to a contractor that's going to be doing this job with you and get 2-3 bids, right? Those bids are going to be highest, middle, and low. And not always the best is the low, right? You got to go maybe middle of the road, and sometimes the highest isn't the best. There he is.
What up?
What up? So, yeah, I would say 3 bids to get dialed in is probably the best way to do it. So, hopefully that helped answers that, because Ashley, that was a good question. But guys, what's our time, Ashley, that we've been on here for like 17 minutes. So let's get Jacob in, and he's gonna come on and talk about his scenario and this project and what he's doing. But what we do need to do is, I think what we'll do is we'll go off here for a second, Ashley, and we're gonna get him mic'd up so that we can walk around and get all this put together.
Okay. Yeah. So anyone that's watching live right now, just to let you know, what we'll do is this next part, we're going to post it tomorrow after we get everything put together so that we can get Jacob mic'd up and walking around. But you will still be able to see it. And if you have any questions for Jacob or Shawn while that you want them to answer in that video, just comment on this post here. And we'll get that pulled together for next time.
All right. Talk to you guys in a little bit. Thanks.